Have you ever noticed how children are like little sponges? They absorb everything around them: the joy, the laughter, and unfortunately, the tension and conflict too. Today, we're going to talk about something incredibly important but often overlooked: why children must be protected from adult conflicts. This isn't just about shielding them from a single argument. It's about safeguarding their entire childhood, their emotional development, and their future. Let's start with the core of the issue. Why must children be kept out of adult conflicts? It's simple, really. Children are not miniature adults. Their brains are still developing, and they lack the emotional maturity and life experience to understand complex adult problems like financial stress, relationship breakdowns, or family feuds. When they're exposed to these issues, they don't see the nuances we do. Instead, they just feel the raw emotion, the anger, the sadness, the fear. This exposure can create a constant state of anxiety and stress in a child's life. Their home, which should be a safe haven, suddenly feels unpredictable and unstable. Think about it from their perspective. They hear raised voices or see a parent crying, and their world feels like it's falling apart. Many children, especially younger ones, have a very egocentric view of the world. They naturally believe everything revolves around them. So, when they witness conflict, a common and heartbreaking reaction is to blame themselves. They might think, "Mom and Dad are fighting because I was bad," or "If I had just been quieter, this wouldn't have happened." This self-blame is a heavy burden for a small child to carry. It can lead to feelings of guilt, isolation, and deep emotional confusion. By shielding them from our conflicts, we give them the most precious gift: a sense of safety. This security allows them to focus on their real job: being a kid. It lets them pour their energy into school, making friends, playing, and simply growing up without the weight of the world on their shoulders. This brings me to my next point. Adult matters should stay between adults. It might seem tempting to confide in an older child, to treat them like a friend or an ally, especially during a difficult time like a separation. But this is a dangerous path. When we involve children in our problems, we're essentially asking them to step out of their role as a child and into the role of a confidant, a mediator, or even a therapist. They are not equipped for this. They might misinterpret what's happening or feel an immense pressure to fix the situation, a task that is impossible for them. This can trigger a whole host of issues, from anxiety and depression to behavioral problems at school or at home. One of the most damaging things that can happen is when a child feels forced to choose sides. In high-conflict separations, this is tragically common. Asking a child, "Who do you love more?" or "Don't you agree your father was wrong?" places an unbearable emotional strain on them. They love both parents. Forcing them into a loyalty bind is a form of emotional cruelty that can severely damage their self-esteem and their ability to form healthy relationships later in life. When we, as adults, make a conscious effort to resolve our conflicts privately and respectfully, we're not just protecting our children from immediate harm, we're also modeling healthy behavior. We're showing them that disagreements can be handled constructively without tearing the family apart. This is a crucial life lesson that will serve them well for the rest of their lives. Now let's talk about something that is a direct consequence of a protected childhood: innocence. Sometimes the word innocence is dismissed as naive or unrealistic. But in the context of childhood, innocence is a powerful and necessary state of being. It's the freedom to see the world with wonder, curiosity, and imagination, untainted by adult cynicism or worry. It's the space where creativity flourishes. A conflict-free environment is the fertile ground where this innocence can thrive. It supports the development of emotional resilience. When children aren't constantly managing stress, they can learn to cope with smaller, age-appropriate challenges in a healthy way. This builds their confidence and their ability to handle whatever life throws at them later on. Children who are raised without the burden of adult problems are more likely to develop empathy, compassion, and strong interpersonal skills. Why? Because their emotional energy isn't being consumed by survival mode. They have the capacity to think about others, to understand different perspectives, and to build positive connections. They learn to trust, to love openly, and to communicate effectively. These are not just soft skills, they are the fundamental building blocks of a happy and successful life. Preserving childhood innocence isn't about creating a fantasy world. It's about giving children the best possible foundation for becoming well-adjusted, caring, and resilient adults. Unfortunately, sometimes conflict doesn't just expose children to arguments. It actively pulls them in. This is where the destructive concept of parental alienation comes in. Parental alienation happens when one parent intentionally undermines a child's relationship with the other parent. This can be done through subtle comments, outright lies, or by consistently painting the other parent in a negative light. The child is essentially weaponized in the parent's battle. The consequences of this are devastating. The child is caught in a loyalty conflict of the highest order. They feel confused, guilty, and angry. They might start to genuinely reject a parent they once loved, not because of their own experiences, but because they've been manipulated to do so. This manipulation inflicts deep, long-term emotional harm. Children who are victims of parental alienation often struggle with their own identity. They can develop severe anxiety, depression, and significant behavioral issues. The damage doesn't stop in childhood. It follows them into adulthood, sabotaging their own romantic relationships and their ability to trust others. The best way to prevent this is for both parents, no matter their personal feelings for each other, to commit to encouraging respect for the other parent. It means speaking about the other parent in a neutral or positive way, facilitating communication, and never, ever making the child a messenger or a spy. Maintaining an open and positive line of communication for the child with both parents is crucial for their mental health. It's also vital to understand a fundamental truth. A romantic failure does not equal a parenting failure. Just because a relationship between two adults didn't work out does not automatically make either of them a bad parent. The qualities that make a good partner are different from the qualities that make a good parent. Good parenting is about emotional availability, providing stability and consistency, and demonstrating an unwavering commitment to the child's well-being. It's about putting the child's needs first. Many parents who are no longer together are fantastic co-parents because they've been able to separate their past romantic issues from their shared ongoing role as parents. When they prioritize their children despite their personal struggles, kids feel secure, loved, and supported. This consistency is the bedrock of a healthy childhood, and this leads to the undeniable fact that, in most situations, both parents matter immensely. Research overwhelmingly shows that children thrive when they have safe, loving, and meaningful relationships with both of their parents. Active involvement from both sides contributes to better emotional stability, higher self-confidence, and stronger social skills. When parents can cooperate, even after they've separated, children feel a profound sense of security. They know they have a team of adults who love and support them, even if that team lives in two different houses. They experience fewer behavioral problems and are generally happier and more well-adjusted. The presence of two loving parents provides a child with different perspectives, different strengths, and a wider network of support. It's an invaluable gift. So what's the key takeaway from all of this? Protecting children from adult conflict is not about avoidance or pretending problems don't exist. It's an act of profound responsibility. It is our fundamental duty as parents and caregivers. By consciously preserving their innocence, actively preventing parental alienation, and supporting healthy, loving relationships with both parents, we create the environment where children can flourish. We allow them to grow up without carrying emotional burdens they were never meant to bear. Remember, healthy, happy, and resilient kids are the product of protected childhoods. We have the power to give them that gift. Thank you so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content on mindful parenting and building strong families. Let's work together to give our children the peaceful childhood they deserve.